So, if you're clicking on this video, you're probably wondering, who should I manage on Football Manager? Now, the answer to that question, it's not 100%, right? Let's just be honest about it. There are many factors that depend. It depends on who you support, what leagues you already really know, what sort of challenge you want. So what I'm going to do just now is go through a few of these challenges, some of which are harder than others, obviously, that you may be interested in. What I would like to preface this with is that there are a few generic answers that I would give you if you are looking to start a new save on Football Manager. So the first one would be whatever team you support. For example, I myself, I'm an Aberdeen fan, so I always love doing a save with Aberdeen. I find it quite interesting. So if you support, Manchester United, that might be interesting for you, whereas it might not be too interesting for me either. You know what I mean? It just depends on your preference. But I feel like all of them have their own certain aspects that make them quite fun. So without further ado, we'll get into it. So the first team we are going to look at to manage in Football Manager 20 is none other than Notts Forest. So Nottingham Forest, as some of you will know, anyone who follows British football will know that Notts Forest are essentially a sleeping giant. They are absolutely loaded with history. They were the biggest team in Europe at one point, and over the years have fallen to the Championship. So when we look at this, what I would say is they have 2 Champions League trophies. They've won the Premier League once. They've won the Super Cup, a couple of FA Cups, and it is all going back to the 70s, 80s. So what I would say with this team is it's one of those ones where it's trying to bring them back to their former glory. They do have a decent setup. You can sort of see here they've got good training facilities, good youth facilities. Their reputation is okay, and they've got all right finances. So they are one of those teams that I think you could definitely take and do something very interesting with. In terms of club culture, when you come in, what they're looking for is for you to play attacking football, sign players under the age of 22 for the future, and use the club's youth system to develop players. So some very, very interesting club setups there for you to sort of play with and try and make the most of. So, number 2, and we're off to Scotland, and it is Rangers. Now, this is a very, very interesting save, I would say, to sort of go ahead with on the game. Essentially, Rangers have been in Celtic's shadow for quite some time now in Scotland. Celtic are going for 10 titles in a row. Can you be the team that stops them? Now, with a great setup, you've got some excellent training facilities, great youth facilities, decent reputation, and the finances are okay. You've got a 50,000 seater stadium that you can fill every week and make some money, and they are regularly qualifying for European competition, which is another way to make some money. So what I would suggest is that if you do take on this job, try and focus on European competition as well as dethroning Celtic in the league. So next up, we head over to Germany. This is a team who sit in the 3rd division, and it is FC Kaiserslautern. So Kaiserslautern used to be one of the bigger teams in Germany. So if we look at their history, so they've won 4 Bundesliga titles, right? And the most recent one being 1998. So you can imagine that essentially they have been up there with the rest of the teams and have had a real fall from grace, coming all the way down to the 3rd division. So if you have a look at their facilities, they've got great training facilities, great youth facilities, their reputation's good, and their finances are okay. They're one of those teams in a lower division but they have all the potential to rise up and be challenging up there in the Bundesliga. Now, if you look at their facilities, you can see they've got almost a 50,000 seater stadium. So you can imagine you get that full for some cup games, you make some money, and obviously the rest is history there. So the next team is Ajax, and this one is a bit more interesting. So rather than focusing on the team, what you should really be doing here is focusing on the overall league. And I think this gives it a bit more of an interesting twist. So at the moment, Ajax are the big dogs in Holland. And it is one of those ones where it is just trying to stay at the top. But there's more to it than that. So your next step, once you are dominating your country, would then be trying to win the Champions League and to dominate the whole continent, which is something you can do with Ajax. And it can be proven by the fact that they have 4 Champions League wins, a European Cup Winners' Cup, 2 Super Cups and a Europa League. So they are a historically good team in Europe. But does it really matter how good they are in Europe if the rest of the league aren't following in their footsteps? So the goal with this save, that I would say, and to make it a bit more interesting, is to try and get the full league up the continent rankings. So in each continent, so in Europe you have the UEFA rankings. So what you'd be looking to do is bring the Dutch league up the ranks and climb the table, more European places, more reputation over the league, more reputation over the overall teams in your league as well, while carrying on that domination of the league. So the next team may not be one you are too aware of. So the next team is a team called Rijeka, HNK Rijeka to give them their full name, from Croatia. So Rijeka are a team that are relatively well performing within the Croatian leagues. They have got 1 league title, which they won in 2017. They have won a few cups in recent years. However, they've not had too much history of success as a club. However, they do consistently qualify for European competition. They have played in the Europa League. And obviously, when they won the league, they got into the Champions League qualifiers. So what makes this save interesting, you say? So, as you can imagine, the Croatian league has a few big names. So we've got Dinamo Zagreb, which is one of your bigger teams. You've got Osijek as well, and while they didn't do too well in this save, you've got Hajduk Split. So there are some big teams, the main one being Dinamo, who are going to try and assert their dominance over the league, continue to win league titles, especially with the overall setup there. But you can see, just looking at their history, they have won every title since 2006, apart from 2017, where Rijeka won the league. So the challenge with this one is, can you stop that dominance, prove that the 2017 trophy was not a one-off? You've got some good facilities at hand, some good players at hand, and then it is just over to you. So, like I said, some of the challenges here are harder than others, this being one of the harder ones here. So this is Paris FC. You may be remiss from not necessarily knowing who they are. So Paris FC play in the 2nd division in France. They are mainly in the shadow of the big boys, PSG. And the challenge here is to climb the ranks, get up into League One, and try and lodge yourself as a proper challenge for PSG. At the moment, they are only classed as rivals with Red Star, who are also on our team from Paris. But can you make it so that this team are genuine contenders to PSG and a genuine threat to the title in France? Again, like I said, this is arguably the hardest challenge that I've put on the list here, and it is mainly due to the fact that PSG are one of the biggest teams in the game. They have a ridiculous amount of money, but with a good enough idea behind you and a good enough effort, you could potentially make Paris FC the big team in the capital of France. And last but not least, who could I be without including a non-league English team in a Football Manager Who Should I Manage? One of the most popular choices for people picking up the game is to have a look at non-league in England and see if they can build their way up to the Premier League and compete with the big boys. My choice this year is Notts County. So Notts County find themselves in the National League, a real fall from grace for such a massive team. So what you find with Notts County is you have a massive stadium, 19,841 capacity. So again, a good source of income for the club. In terms of facilities, you've got basic training facilities, basic youth facilities, and not much reputation. Finances are okay. As you can see, your local rivals, being Notts Forest, they do play in the Championship and are one of those teams that you would be looking to try and take into the Premier League within a season or two. So you can see the polar opposites here. The real challenge here would be to get Notts County back to the level they once were. They have won FA Cup from 1894. They are a historic, prestigious team. They have some Championship victories, which they obviously earned back in the day, and they have not really won much silverware in a long, long time. So the challenge here is, can you take this club, who have everything in their abilities to be a big club, and take them to the next level? So, thank you very much for watching, guys. If you've made it this far, then I would appreciate if you drop a like on the video and hit subscribe for more Football Manager content. If you're interested in seeing my trials and tribulations play out live, I do stream over at Twitch. The link is right there, wherever I decide to put it. Click that link, hit follow. I go live 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 British time, and Sunday is around about 3 o'clock kick-off. So again, thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will see you again later. There we are. We are ready to represent the motherland.